Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's, match preview. We're back again. Premier League, 3 games to go. The excitement is kicking in. Can we keep the good results going? We certainly hope so. And of course, we'll be talking about that tonight, of course, with me and Billy Bob. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Really do appreciate all the support. Now, just usual spiel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, of course, become a member if you'd like to, underneath me and Billy, and of course you can donate to the channel via the super chat option, which is the $sign at the bottom of the live chat. So you can do either one of those for us, would be very nice. Thank you very much. Now, I did put a video out earlier today regarding the Premier League award nominations that I'm pretty disappointed with. Certain manager being there again. And look, people were quick to point out, saying when I'd said that what's Jurgen Klopp done, a lot of people came at me and said, well, he's won the Carabao Cup. That's not the Premier League, right? It's the Premier League awards for you. It's nothing to do with the Carabao Cup. It's nothing to do with the FA Cup. It's the Premier League. And Jurgen Klopp, for me, I don't know about you, Billy. I don't know what you think of it all, but I think Jurgen Klopp has blown the Premier League. Liverpool should have been way up there, and the results, they've drifted away. Why on earth is he in the Premier League Manager of the Season award for the Premier League? Simple. It's simple, because he's leaving, and the Premier League want to kiss his ass one more time. That's what I think, Billy. I mean, do you think any different?
Yes, I do, actually. Yeah, I think that the fact he did win the Carabao Cup, and it's not just the fact he won it, it's how he won it. He won it with a team of kids. He was brave enough to play the kids and not...
But should that go towards the Premier League, though, Billy? It's the Premier League awards.
It's the League Cup, isn't it? It is, but he's still finished third in it. He's going to finish third and potential still second. We don't know how Arsenal are going to finish the season or Man City. They can still actually win it. They're still in the running for it. It's mathematically not certain they're not going to win it. They have kind of had the bad spell right at the worst time of the season for them. But over the season, I think, if you're going to pick a top 4 managers, I think you'd have to have Jurgen Klopp in it. I think you do.
Interesting thoughts, Billy. Interesting. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. I just think that he's, I just think with him leaving, I think there's other managers certainly deserve the award. I'm pleased the Bournemouth manager's there, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm pleased that, he's been recognised. But as much as it killed me to say during the video, Sean Dyche, surely he's got to come in with a shout, given all the problems he's had financially this season and with the points deductions and keeping them in the Premier League, I think deserves a shout. And I'm just talking there as a normal football fan. I'm not like trying to, big anyone up. I'm talking there as a football fan and thinking, right, if you're going to put Klopp in, then surely you've got to put other managers who've actually achieved something that wasn't expected of them this season. Like Everton staying up after the points deduction. Bournemouth, completely clear of relegation. Emery's in there, deservedly so. He's got Villa in the Champions League places. Those are the managers, I think, that deserve that because of what they've done, when it wasn't really expected. Or I just think it's got to be looked at that way rather than the other way. And I mean, the big one for me, Billy, is Anthony Gordon being missed out on Young Player of the Year. Isak's there. Now, Isak's already in for normal Player of the Season. I can't believe that Mainu is there and Anthony Gordon isn't. That's what strikes me as
it makes no sense. You could be like that. Haaland's 24, Isak's 24. I mean, is James Milner going to be nominated for Young Player of the Year? It's ridiculous, really, that you can be over the age of 21 and still.
Apparently, it was because they were 23 when the season started. I don't think that should count for anything. I think 23 is not a Young Player of the Year. I think you're probably talking about under 21 and under, aren't you?
You think you should be really, 22, 21, but 24's it's too old. And it's ridiculous that Saka isn't in the main one, and yet he is in the young one. I mean, I think Saka should be in the top award as well. Mainu for playing 3 or 4 months, I don't think so. I don't think he should be in the talk for any of them. He's had a very good start to his Premier League and his footballing career, but he's been not as great as late. He's had that young player syndrome that burnt out a little bit, and we saw it a little bit with Lewis Miley, although not in the same kind of context as we saw with Kobe Mainoo against Palace the night. It was dreadful.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, absolutely dreadful.
So if he didn't play for Manchester United, if he played for Bournemouth, Luton, there's no way in God's earth to be getting nominated in these awards for Kobe Mainoo. Absolutely not. They've got to have some sort of Man United representation on there, because if he wasn't, there wouldn't be, would there?
Well, there wouldn't be, but do they deserve anybody in there that, given the season they've had? That, you know, their season could turn out extremely mediocre. They could finish, you know, 8th place, and that is for Manchester United. If you're a Manchester United fan and you still think they're all holy and mighty and bigger than thou, then, you know, I don't understand. Listen, I'm not having to go at Kobe Mainoo here. I think Mainoo is a fabulous player, and he's got a massive, massive future. I think he's an excellent player. However, I really don't agree with the fact that he's there and Anthony Gordon's not. And then you've got Foden, Isak, Haaland, all in the same category again. Give it a chance to other people. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be the only one that thinks like that, but I just think that, you know, it's got to be, opportunities have got to be given to younger players when you're doing Young Player of the Year. Otherwise, what's the point?
The most ridiculous one is Saliba in the young player, and not in the main player when Van Dijk is. Saliba,
I mean, that's another one. Van Dijk,
Gabriel, another one.
Gabriel, and Saliba towering above Van Dijk this season. There's no doubt about it. Van Dijk, even the Liverpool fans earlier in the season were saying he's having a shocker. Right now, I don't know what causes that. I couldn't give it a toss, to be honest. But, you know, Van Dijk is there. And, you know, if you look at all the comments on social media, they're thinking, you know, why is he there? Why is he there? You know, Van Dijk hasn't done anything. Klopp, fair enough, he's won the Carabao Cup, but I don't agree that should be connected to a Premier League manager of the season. It's what you've done in the league. And, you know, there's other managers deserving of that praise, I think, and as much as it kills me to mention Everton, obviously, but, you know, you have to be honest as a football fan here. You know, there's managers there who are really struggling against all odds every season, and they're having success in their own way by finishing mid-table in the Premier League, etc., when they were expected to be in the relegation places. You know, nobody thought Bournemouth would finish where they're going to. You know, I think it's just, I think there's other credit has to be given somewhere along the line. I don't agree with it. But then again, I don't agree with anything the Premier League does. It's ridiculous. But hey-ho, that is what it is. Now, of course, we turn our attention to Brighton on Saturday. Now, Eddie Howe will be giving his press conference tomorrow. I will be live for that one in the morning again, if you want to join me for that. It's probably going to be about 11:30 tomorrow morning, where I'll look through what the managers had to say. Everybody's very interested to know what the injury situation is like. Is Callum Wilson playing? Is he injured? What's going to be the situation? Is Kieran Trippier going to be in the squad? So there's a lot for Eddie to answer, Billy. But, I mean, the game itself, he's just going to be looking for the 3 points, no matter what sort of game it is. It's too late in the season to sort of go on about, wanting the perfect performance. I mean, that would be nice, but the 3 points are way more important, aren't they?
Yeah, it's all about the results. We've got 3 games. We can win all 3. We can potentially finish 5th. It doesn't matter how we play as long as we get the 3 points in each of those games. However, if we do put a performance in, the chances are far greater of us getting the 3 points. It's natural that's going to happen. I think we'll see both Saturday. I think there's a bit of confidence among the squad now, especially how we played last Saturday, albeit against a poor Burnley side, but to go away from home and dominate a side on their own mucky like we did last week with a change of formation, slight tweaks to the formation, certain players coming back and looking like they're in form and hungry for success. Yeah, I think we can go into the Brighton game with a lot of confidence, especially as Brighton are very up and down this season, aren't they? They haven't really acclimatised very well to European football. They've not had the same kind of season that they did last season or two. And yeah, I think it's a game that we can definitely win Saturday, and with a good performance to boot on top of that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, just I'd like to give a big shout out of love and hugs to one of our fabulous mods, Rachel. Her mum's currently in hospital. She's been in hospital for a while now, but she's having to go. I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning this, but she's had to go they're sending her to Leeds Hospital for a brain operation to try and stop a bleed on the brain. She's in a very frail condition. Rachel is extremely worried about her. So I just hope you guys can all send your love and best wishes to Rachel and her family, because she's worried sick. She's going through a really tough time. I know she's in the chat tonight. So let's all send love and best wishes and prayers for Rachel and her mum, because she really needs them. Hopefully she'll get this operation to help her and recover, and hopefully get on the road to recovery. So, Rach, we're all with you, and we hope that everything will go okay with you, ma'am. Absolute love and hugs from everyone at the Toon Review for you. I just wanted to mention that because it's very important. Portman Mag says, I think Rob Edwards from Luton is deserving than Klopp, even if they went down. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not so sure that a manager deserves manager of the season for, if they do eventually go down. If Luton stayed up, then that might have been a very different conversation, Billy. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I can see where he means by that. But I just think if he even on the last day of the season he kept them up by a point, I think he'd have to be in the shout.
Yeah, I think these awards are kind of announced too early, for my opinion. They should be done after the season finishes, because at the moment Luton can still stay up, and if they do, to me that's as big an achievement as whoever wins it. On the kind of budget they've had. Yeah, no one was expecting them to stay up this year. Everyone thought they were going to be the whipping boys who finish bottom. So if they do manage to scrape themselves up and stay up, to me that's a way more impressive achievement for a manager than someone that wins the league perennially, really.
Yeah. I've seen Lawrence saying there, similar to what you did, Billy, about the awards. They should be at the end of the season. It's right. It's completely right. But listen, the Premier League do it their way. I mean, they'll never change, will they? They'll always be the same. It's just there. Anyway, moving on. Listen, Brighton's going to be a tough game, but a lot of people are saying, they've got nothing to play for, Billy. They're on the beach. But we know when the pressure's completely off you and you've got nothing to, you're not scrambling against relegation, you're not battling for a European spot. The pressure's off. You just go for a game of football, and that's when you sort of play your best.
They have a good side. The season hasn't gone as they wanted it to. And it's a lot of that is down to the European campaign they've had, and not a big enough squad to cope with that. But if they can get their full team on the pitch, and if they can perform in the way that they can do under the manager, De Zerbi's a very, very good manager. They've got some very, very good players. They've got some dynamic players up front. Simon Ading was a great player. Danny Welbeck always causes anyone trouble. Defensively, they're pretty strong as well. Dunk's an England international, of course. Middle of the park, they're fairly strong also. But they are suffering with injuries the same as we are. They've missed Solly March all season virtually. He's a massive miss for them. He has the fulcrum of lots of things they do from out wide. But there's no pressure on them. Their season is over. Are they on holiday? Let's hope so. If they come with footloose and fancy free and wanted to play football, then it could be a very, very nervous 90 minutes for us.
Well, it could be. And the fact that they did beat Aston Villa last time out. So, Villa, who definitely have something to play for and keep their position. I know they're quite. I can't actually remember how far they are ahead of Spurs, but are they safe in fourth, Billy? Or
not quite, but virtually. I think they're 5 ahead with 3 games ahead. So they
still want to win the games just to be mathematically sure, wouldn't they? So it's still a great result that for Brighton. But it's fair to say that the form hasn't been great at all. So they've they've drawn a couple of games against teams that maybe they're expected to beat. They drew with Burnley. They drew with Brentford. They got a stuffing off Arsenal, but they did well at Anfield. They only lost 2-1 at Anfield. They're a funny side, Brighton, because De Zerbi is a fabulous manager as well. Let's not forget that he plays some incredibly good football. Anthony Tuck, thank you for another super chat, buddy. Much kindness, thank you. Good evening, Paul and Billy from Tucky, and fingers crossed for Rachel and her mum. Thank you, Tucky, mate. That's very much appreciated. Chipper says, I think we will batter them, play out from the back against players like Isak and Gordon and Wilson, and it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, they do like doing that, but we've seen that, many times in the last couple of weeks, teams trying to play out from the back. But when we're in the mood with the super press, Billy, it's very difficult for them to play out.
Yeah, Brighton have passed hands at it, though, aren't they? They're very good centre halves with the ball at the feet. Dunk is a very, very good footballer, as well as being a very good defender. And I think we can get at them. I think we've got the pace to get at them, especially with Anthony Gordon. And if we can get Jacob Murphy pushed up on the right hand side to help with the press, I think we can definitely get at them. And there are weak links in that Brighton defence. I'm not a great lover of the Dutch fella they've got at the back. I can't think what his name is, but I'm not a great fan of his. I think we can get at them with the press, and I think if we get the first goal, I think we could go on and get more. We kind of beat them at home last season, it was quite easily, and we owe them one because they did actually play us off the park down at the Amex earlier in the season. So there's not a bit of revenge in mind for Eddie Howe because we were awful against Brighton away. We need to be on our mettle on Saturday, no doubt about that. And the European place added to a bit of vengeance, adds up to a kind of win for us. Really, should be.
Avina, thank you for your super chat. Seems like the same ref whose mistake helped PSG has made another injury time to help Madrid. Fancy that.
I think it was offside.
You what, Billy?
I think the player was offside. It wasn't as much the referee's fault as the linesman for flagging in the first place. The linesman flagged. Yeah, I didn't look at it, but he was offside anyway, looking at the pictures. Not so much the referee's fault.
Yeah, I mean, look, what a story for Joselu, though. I mean, we have to take hats off to Joselu, from where they've come from. It is simply incredible, isn't it?
It was an amazing game of football, actually. The fact that Real Madrid were pounding away with Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., Bellingham, all those players, and it took a 35-year-old journeyman to come on and put the ball over the line for them was amazing, really. But if you ask me, the Bayern Munich manager cost them that game. Thomas Tuchel made an absolute...
Well, some of those substitutions I could not understand, Billy, to be honest. I was astounded by
when he
some
took
of them.
Harry Kane off to bring on Eric Choupo-Moting.
Choupo-Moting, there's a player. How the hell has he got a contract at Bayern Munich? I mean, he was terrible over here. I remember... but I remember him being at Stoke. He was god-awful. Oh, dear. Terrible. But listen, I think it's going to be a cracking Champions League final. We are going to do a match day live for that as well. So that's going to be a really good show as well. So remember to join us for that one. But that will be advertised in due course. Now, Brighton, as I say, they did play a 4-2-3-1 against Aston Villa, Billy. I'm going to try and get the stats up here.
Right.
There you go. I'll try and make that a bit bigger for all the viewers at home because it's a pain in the arse at the minute because there's adverts popping up on SofaScore and it's a real pain in the arse. But there you go. That's how they lined up against Villa, and they went with Billy Gilmour and Pascal Gross as the two, Billy. Now, Gilmour tends to step it up against us a little bit, doesn't he? He's done that in the past. Pascal Gross, of course, he's been there a long time. I think he's very underrated, Billy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a very good player. He's been there since day one, hasn't he, with the Brighton kind of resurgence. I think he signed for them the first season they came up, or the second season.
Yeah.
So, he's a very, very underrated player. Like Solly Marches, I've got a few like that, to be fair. But it's that front three we've got, Buonanotte, not as much kind of, cheered as Joao Pinto is, and Simon Adingro's he's a real kind of live wire on the left-hand side. Yeah.
Of course, João Pedro, who literally was, if you remember, about to join us, if you believed what certain media said, he ended up going to Brighton, of course. It's took him a while to get going, it's fair to say, but he did score the winner, obviously, in that game against Aston Villa. So, he's a danger. And, of course, Danny Welbeck, I mean, to say what you want about Welbeck, he does tend to need 6 or 7 chances to put one in the back of the net, but it's important that we keep an eye on them.
Yeah, as well, Pedro, as Max has just said there, when he played for Watford, was the best player on the pitch against us. Yeah. One of Eddie Howe's first games, actually, a couple of seasons ago. It was absolutely outstanding. And, we had him welcomed to Newcastle by certain YouTube channels. We had the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano. Yeah. All wrong. But he's had a good season this year for them, really. I mean, I know he takes penalties, so his goal tally's kind of inflated because of that. But he's a very talented player, and we've got to be careful of him, because if you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So you've got to kind of watch what he's doing, especially with Welbeck and a Dinger next to him. Yeah, but they miss Matoma. I miss him, Matoma.
Oh, absolutely. Clarky says a Dinger is the danger man, and João Pedro will want to show us what we missed out on. I mean, I still don't know what happened with that deal. Newcastle haven't come out and said that, oh, we wanted him, we missed out on him or anything like that. It just seemed like...
I think it's fairly obvious. I think it's the fact that Isak became available at a price we could afford to pay, so we went with that instead. Yeah,
definitely. Max says, worried about Pedro. Remember when he towered over Lascelles when he played for Watford in a 1-1 a couple of seasons ago? The fact that Clippity is on the running and Eddie doesn't even get a mention doesn't baffle me. It's expected. On Eddie Howe, look, I think this is why the awards should be done all at the end of the season instead of nominations now. Because if Eddie Howe does finish 6th, and dare I even say it 5th, given what he's had to do this season, Billy, is monumental. And everybody, would have expected me on the video to shout from the rooftops for Eddie Howe. I'm not going to do that, but, because there is other managers as well as Eddie. But that is some achievement.
He's made some mistakes this season, but he's kind of put them right. He's rectified a lot of them. He's definitely improved as a manager, in my opinion, this season because of the adversity that we've suffered. But let's not forget that a lot of those injuries and fatigue issues were down to him not rotating. I know people say that the youth team players or whatever, reserve team players aren't good enough. But at the end of the day, players that have been playing 3 games in 5 days and then knackered aren't good enough either. You might as well take your loss or put some fresh legs in, even for 20 minutes. And we saw with Isak at PSG, he couldn't walk second half. Yeah, yet he wouldn't put on a fresh pair of legs to kind of keep their centre halves honest when they had the ball. And in the end, although it was wrong, it cost us. So he has made mistakes this year. He wouldn't be in my running for manager of the year this year, but he's certainly improved as the season's gone on. No doubt about that. Well,
he certainly gets an outside mention. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, as it stands, my manager of the season would probably go to Emery. I think. I know it's probably going to go to the Premier League winner, if it's especially if it's Man City. But I really genuinely think that Emery should be it because Villa. I didn't expect Villa to be top 4 this season. I expected them to be up there, certainly battling in the top 8, but I didn't expect top 4. And we all thought they might fall away eventually, didn't we? Because we were all talking about it when they had a few iffy results. I think it was the Sheffield United at Villa Park, Billy. I think. We thought, they're not going to stay where they are, but they have.
I don't think he's great, if I'm perfectly honest. I think he's there. It's a bit of a fake result for me. I'm finishing 4th. I don't think they're a great side.
Is that not the cold ice of living in a certain city close to Villa, Billy?
Potentially, but I think if Ollie Watkins gets injured, I think they're bang average.
Yeah,
he's had a great season, Ollie Watkins, no doubt about that. Don't think he's a great player, but I think he's had a great season and he's a good score. He's a great goal scorer. Apart from that, I don't think he's a great player in any shape or form. They were a workman-like team, the likes of McGinn, Douglas Luiz. They don't inspire me as someone to watch. Absolutely not. Whereas last season when we finished 4th, I thought we were entertainment in abundance. I don't think Aston Villa are, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, we shall see come the awards, but a lot of people are asking about Ansu Fati, who, of course, I haven't seen him play a lot this season, Billy. Missing players. He's not on the injured list. He was on the bench against Villa, but unused.
Perhaps a Slimming World.
You what, mate?
Maybe
he's a Slimming World. Absolutely, yes. They're missing players. James Milner is still a doubt. Solly March will miss the game. Estepinian will miss the game. Matoma will miss the game. Lamptey, who's had a horrific run of injuries, especially this season. Van Heck is out and Evan Ferguson is out as well. So they have serious injuries to big players. I mean, Solly March for me is a wonderful player. Matoma, of course, who you mentioned earlier in the show. Yep. Lamptey destroyed us a few times, as we well know. So I'm not particularly upset that he's doubtful, but I think that Matoma being out, Billy. That's the main one for Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah, Matoma, and of course the fella that did all the damage to us down at their ground is Ferguson, isn't it? You know,
well, Evan Ferguson, yeah,
destroyed us, didn't he, at the Amex? Absolutely destroyed us. And although we weren't great that day, the attitudes weren't right, and certain things happened that I wasn't happy seeing. Ferguson was clinical, wasn't he? And we allowed him to play. We were absolutely awful that day, if I'm perfectly honest. But Ferguson took advantage of it, scored 3 really good goals. So he's a threat. I'm glad he's not playing. I'm glad Matoma's not playing. I'm also glad Estepinian isn't playing. I'll be glad Lamps isn't playing because he has took us to the cleans before when Rafa was in charge. So, yeah, the injuries that they've got, you know, it's kind of tell me that they're not be anywhere near full strength and that we can take advantage of that. And I hope we do.
I mean, if we look at us, Billy, you know, if you look at the midfield, it's going to be interesting because obviously they've got Gilmore and Gross. I don't expect the team to be much different, to be honest. If that's their injury situation, I think that they might have to play the same side that beat Villa. Would Eddie go with a 4-4-2 again, given that you know they're playing a 4-2-3-1 with I mean, those players in the 3 that we looked at before, very capable of doing a lot of damage. Would you trust a 4-4-2?
Well, he's going to have to pull a fullback in to help supplement that. And with the threat they've got with Dingva on one side, I'm not sure Buonanotte is much of a threat on this side. He's a good player, but I don't think he's got the tricks of say Matoma has.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bit more dangerous on the flank. So can we afford to pull a fullback in to help support? I'm not sure, but I think it could go with that. Yeah, I think he could because that way he can get more pressure on their centre backs, which is crucial for us to regain the ball in high positions of the pitch. For me.
Well, I mean, look, Longstaff will probably play again alongside Bruno. Would you go back to the 4-3-3? Because, I mean, look, if the confidence is up and we're playing so well, the 4-3-3 for me seems like a big possibility. Murphy, of course, had a brilliant game against Burnley. There's nothing to say that he can't do the same. But it's a little bit of a different role for him, isn't it, when we play 4-3-3 to 4-4-2?
Yeah, I just think we're more, you know, it's easier for us to get hit on the counter if we play 4-3-3. I think Brighton have got players that can hit us on the counter, which is concerning. I think if we go 4-4-2, get an extra man in the middle of the park to help Longstaff. We saw how much it benefited him last Saturday. I think Eddie will have seen that and think, well, we could do that, use that again, and I think he will tomorrow or Saturday, I should say. I think you know, it's really a 5 with a fullback put in. I think we're going to be fine with that. You know, it's with Gordon, Murphy, Wilson, and potentially Isaac pressing. Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah. Now, this is very interesting, Billy. The head-to-head against Brighton at St James's Park. Actually, I'm not sure. It just says head-to-head, so I'm not sure whether this is St James's Park or just in general. Newcastle have only won 5 games against Brighton. 6 have been draws, of course. Most of them have been at Brighton, and 7 wins for Brighton. So they have the better record against us in the Premier League.
Yeah, we've got to remember they kind of, when Steve Bruce was in charge, they used to beat us quite regularly, didn't they? Even when Rafa was in charge, I think they did also. I know we beat them in Championship. It's only been the past year or two where we've kind of, I mean, Eddie Howe's got 2 home wins? 2 home wins against Brighton at home in the Premier League. And I think it'll probably be third. Hopefully, it'll be a third on Saturday. And away from home, we lost there this year, but we drew last year. They're a hard side to beat at the Amex. They really are. I don't remember us winning there in the Premier League, have we? I don't think we have we? We certainly did in the Championship with Mo Diaby's fantastic finish, but I don't recall us doing it in the Premier League. I think we had a 0-0, didn't we? When probably should have won when their keeper was sent off late on. Should have won that game, but. Yeah, they're a good side. And people thinking that it's going to be a walkover, it probably won't be because they're a good side and they're professional footballers.
Yeah, they are.
I just don't see them wanting to win it as much as we want to win it.
I don't think De Zerbi will want to just go out and finish the season on a whimper, Billy. I don't think he's that kind of manager either, which I think is why this is still going to be a very, very tough game. Oh, look who it is. He's joined us from overseas. Historical stats have no bearing in theory, same as kissing the turf of wearing lucky underpants.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, Alex, what are you doing, man? Oh, he must be bored of reading his books. You know what I mean? His books must be boring the crap out of him, to be honest. Should have scored from the free kick we got after Sanchez was sent off and got the win in the last game before Eddie was appointed. God, I remember that.
It didn't even shoot, did we? We just crossed it in. It was ridiculous.
Was that when Wilson? It was Wilson, wasn't it? Brought down.
Yeah, Joe Linton sent him free, didn't he, with a fantastic pass?
Yeah. Oh, that was painful, man. Painful. Hang on, my screen's gone a bit weird there. Listen, as we say, Brighton are a dangerous side. There's no doubt about that. They're 11th in the table at the minute, Billy, but they do have a chance. I mean, the 1 point behind Bournemouth, 2 behind West Ham for 9th. So 9th is a distinct possibility, and De Zerbi will, without a shadow of a doubt, be trying to get 9th. Because the money, the reason I'm saying that is the money, the prize money for positions is hideously big when you go up even 1 or 2 positions.
I think it's 3 million a place, isn't it? Something like that. So it's 9th rather than 11th. The points that West Ham are kind of plummeting, aren't they? They've announced that Moyes will be there next year, so their players are going to be not trying for him, I don't think. I think you've seen that to a certain extent with Liverpool. You know, when you announce your players, your manager's leaving at the end of the season, you know, I just don't see that. I don't. We happened with this with Bobby Robson. Remember all them years ago?
Absolutely.
As soon as we announced he was leaving at the end of the season, all the players decided to just kind of discipline when everything went. And I think you've seen that Liverpool. I think you've seen that with West Ham. I think Brighton can finish 9th, but I just don't see them beating us. I really don't. They've got to play Chelsea yet.
Well, yeah, we'll be all Brighton for that one, of course.
100%.
1,000,000% for that. I just think that, De Zerbi, he's been linked with Manchester United, hasn't he? I've just actually seen a couple of, I think Goldbridge United Stand put out today that Southgate is the lead runner for the Manchester United job should the Egghead leave. That will just be hilarious. The meltdown on, at Old Trafford will be just... just to tune in and laugh. But let's move to Newcastle United's lineup, Billy, because there is a few possibilities that we can now do. The goalkeeper is the obvious one for me. I think Pope has to come back in. Now, this is just talking about, again, just a fan who's been watching Dubravka. I don't have any faith in him. I think it sounds terribly unfair, I know, but I just don't. I wouldn't have the faith in him that I would have in Nick Pope. And I think, given how big these last 3 games are, Billy, I would expect Nick Pope to start this one.
Well, if he was fit to sit on the bench last week, a week further on, the thing is, we're not going to know how he is until he first dives on that shoulder, on that side of his arm, his body.
Yeah.
We're never going to know. But if it goes wrong, you've still got Dubravka on the bench. Give him a go. He should have started last week for me. He really should. He really should. Pope's got to start for me.
Yeah, Joe Bentley's saying there that Dubravka starts, Pope in the game after. I would give Pope a game before the Old Trafford game, given how important that's going to turn out to be. I would put Nick Pope in for the Brighton game, so he's got a game under his belt before he goes to Old Trafford, Bill.
Yeah, 100%. I'd have him every game. As I say, I think he should have played last week. You're never going to know until you test it, and it might not work for him. And I guess with what happened with Jacob Murphy's shoulder, but let's not forget that Pope's been out 3 or 4 months now. He should be ready to come back. That operation, there's pins been put in. I think he'll be fine. And Brighton at home for me, as I say, last week should have played. We need to improve the goalkeeper because Martin Dubravka's just not good enough at this level anymore. He's too hesitant. He doesn't concentrate enough. He's in out, shake it all about. Get Pope in. He's more, he commands the box better. He suits our play better. The defence can play high up the pitch, which of course makes it harder for the team to counter us. Yeah, that's for me. Get Nick Pope in.
Yeah, I think the majority of people would want Nick Pope back for that particular reason. I think it's a good game as well for him to come into because Brighton do put the ball into the penalty area. They've got some big lads, especially on set pieces, the likes of Lewis Dunk. Welbeck's a big lad. So they do have the capabilities to put the ball into the box, which will test Nick Pope. And I think that's what he needs. And you mentioned his injury there, Billy. Everybody's going to be on tenterhooks to see what he's like when he first dives. I know he's done it loads of times in training. So hopefully the game situation will make no difference at all, and Nick Pope will be Nick Pope. But the reassurance he gives those defenders and gives the fans in general when he comes out and he knows when there's a through ball coming, he knows when there's a ball over the top, he's there to clear it, very much an extra sweeper that we just don't have with Martin Dubravka. And I think the way Brighton play, I think Nick Pope's, he's got to come back. I think he's got to. I'll be very surprised if he leaves him out.
But he's a better goalkeeper. I mean, and he's fit. He has to start. You're not getting anything by being loyal towards Martin Dubravka because he hasn't been great. I mean, he's had good games. He's had good games where he's kept the score down. I mean, he's fantastic at Anfield, but he still conceded 4. He's just not clinical enough. He comes out, he's got no confidence in his own ability of getting to the ball.
Absolutely.
He'll come out, stop, go back. Sometimes he'll rectify that by saving the stuff, but sometimes he doesn't. The 3 counter-attack goals that Forest scored against us, I don't think they score any of those if Nick Pope's in goal.
I agree. Pope and Max says now Pope will get minutes in the second half if we're ahead. Not for me, because I think what would that do to Dubravka? I mean, he's causing enough. Apparently, if you believe what you read in the media, behind the scenes, wanting to leave, etc. Nick Pope isn't going to come on as a second half substitute because it just won't happen. He should start. There's no doubt about that. A lot of people have said over the time that they prefer, obviously, Karius to have come in to and drop Dubravka. He's never done that. But listen, I have nothing personal against Martin Dubravka. Absolutely not. I think he's been a stalwart for the club. I think he tainted that with what happened with Manchester United a little bit. However, I do believe that Dubravka will go in the summer, and Nick Pope, he's got to come back. Like you say, he's got to, Billy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, dare I say, if Nick Pope had never got injured against Manchester United back in November, December time, we'd be in 4th place now and potentially higher. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, you look at some of the goals that we've conceded. I mean, if you were to go back and watch videos of the goals we've conceded in the time that Dubravka's been in, you just watch how many times, and even the goals they've gone through his legs, or you feel like he could have got to the ball a bit quicker, or not even coming off his line, doing the hokey cokey, as we've said a million times. I just think it's too much of a risk, because these 3 games, Bruno came out earlier on in the week and said how big these 3 games are. Callum Wilson has said it. They're all aware of how massive these last 3 games of the season are as to where we finish up. And you can guarantee that every one of those players within the Newcastle dressing room will want to be in Europe again next season. Doesn't matter if it's Conference or Europa or, well, it's not going to be Champions League, but they want to be in Europe because I don't care what anybody says. Even if you're in the Conference, you can get a better quality of player in the transfer window as well if you're a European competing team.
I think if we finish Europe, it's not just about signing players, it's about keeping the ones we've got. I mean, I want Bruno to stay more than anything, and I think if we get Europa League spot, I think he will. I'm not sure he will with Conference, but I mean, I guess the proof will be in the pudding. But we've got to go out and put our best side out for every single game we've got left. And Nick Pope's our best goalkeeper, but not just our best goalkeeper. It's not like a close run thing. It's a country mile between him and Dubravka. Yeah.
Well, now isn't the time to sort of rotate players, is it? You go with your best for the last 3 games now. Surely you don't rotate anybody because, I know it's 3 games in a week, but it's the last week of the season. They're huge games. You play your best side possible for the last 3 games. And I'm sure Eddie's aware of that. I don't think he's going to do anything crazily stupid. Obviously, there's talk of Kieran Trippier being back in the squad. I mean, could you see him starting or will he be on the bench?
I think he'll be on the bench. I think he should be on the bench. I don't think Tino Livermento's done anything to deserve him being dropped, although it happened earlier in the season.
Yeah, we've seen it before, haven't we?
And I think Trippier is such a leader in that side. I just think for this game, I think Livermento will probably play. I think Joe Linton may come in. Well, there's a chance of that happening. And if he does, I think we'll go back to the 4-3-3.
So you would say that Joe Linton, Longstaff, and Bruno in the middle.
I think there's potential for that to happen.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. Gordon on the left, Murphy, I think, deserves to keep his place on the right, and of course, I think it would be Callum Wilson to miss out. But what a bench we could have. The likes of Miggy and Kieran Trippier, Callum Wilson to come on. They will get minutes, absolutely, because if we are 2 or 3 ahead, hopefully in the second half, he can bring players off and give them a little bit of a rest, as long as it's not like bringing them off for a rest after 85 minutes, because that's just a sudden joke. Maybe after 55, 60 minutes, say, right, let's put the other guys on for half an hour. That way he can rest players.
He's got options. I mean, it's the first time in weeks and months we've got people on the bench that can make a difference. And if Callum Wilson has to drop to the bench, fine. He can come on and make a difference if we need him to. And he can come on and replace someone that's tired. I mean, he can come on for Isaac, he can come on for anyone. We've got Barnes on the bench also.
Yep.
It can come on and make a difference. Who else we've got that can come on? It's potentially Anderson as well.
Matt Ritchie, Billy. I mean,
he made a difference last week, that's for certain.
Oh, yeah, completely the wrong way. Oh, God almighty. Yeah, it was horrific. It was
But
horrific.
we shall see. I mean, he may go the same way and give Joe Linton a little bit of chance to rest more and bring him back for the Old Trafford game. Who knows? But
interesting.
Joe Linton, for me, would be, if he's fit, should be starting as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, he looked a monster last week, didn't he? I mean, some of the tackles he put in the short time he was on the pitch was just magnificent to see him back. If he is on the bench, I can see him giving a bit longer to Joe Linton, because I think he starts guaranteed against Manchester United. But this is the thing. I think, Billy, our bench on Saturday is probably going to be one of the strongest benches that we've had all season. Yeah. If you look at the names that could be on that bench, given all the injuries we've had all season, those names on that bench, it could be one of the strongest benches we've had all season. And that must give Eddie Howe a real boost as well.
Yeah, I mean, Trippier could be on the bench. Obviously, Barnes, Wilson, potentially, Anderson. There's 4 players he can bring in and confidently be trustful of. And we said it last season, he can only make 3 changes because there's only 3 players on the bench he trusted. Yeah. Even in with this injury-stricken season, he's got 4 now he can bring on, and be confident in their ability of coming on and making a difference.
Yeah,
and I haven't even thought about other subs that I haven't even thought about someone else, but there's other players on there that can come on as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it Saturday. We've got a few players back, and strangely enough, we look good with it.
Yeah. I'm sorry I've gone a bit blurry on YouTube, guys. My internet is playing up again. God, Virgin, hurry up and get the bloody cable in here. Jesus. They've laid everything, Billy, just waiting for the go, waiting for when we can go and get it in. It's just terrible around here. It really is terrible.
Virgin, get the cable in and get it in and things like that when you're talking about Virgin.
Well, only when it involves you, Billy Bob. That's the thing. Only when it involves you. Jake says, has anyone seen the Adam Pearson video with the Sunderland fans throwing a bottle off his head? Yes, I did see that. But listen, what do you expect? I mean, from Sunderland fans, but I want to know, if they are Sunderland fans, what are they doing at Newcastle Blue Star game? I mean, although they played, was it a local derby, I think maybe, so that's why Sunderland fans were there. I didn't follow who they were playing. I just saw a clip of the video. But listen, it's just shocking. It is shocking. And it could have been a lot worse had it been nothing, a bit worse than a plastic. I don't think it hit him directly on the head. I think it flew over him, but it could have been a lot worse. But listen, I've told Adam time and time again, when he goes places on his own like this, you've got nobody there as backup. Take some backup. I mean, what are you laughing at, Billy?
Maybe the most fantastic typo in history.
Which one is it?
Mike
Elliott. Yes, Virgin cable getting put in up. Oh, Mike.
I think you wanted to put here.
Yes.
But it's her.
Yes, clearly. We've got a super chat in from Kieran. Thank you, Kieran. Start Murphy and Tino until 60 or 65. Then sub on Miggy and Trippier. Seems pretty straightforward.
Is Miggy fit?
Well, he was on the bench, wasn't he? He came on against Burnley, Billy.
So he did. Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, I'm very surprised you forgot about that, Billy, because
he came on and smiled a bit, didn't he?
Well, he did. He come on and smiled and he ran a bit, and obviously we have no idea what position he was in because he took up every position on the planet.
I think he's got a good record against Brighton at home, hasn't he? So
he has.
I wouldn't be averse to seeing him at some point.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a very good record. Managers never bring off keepers during a game unless injury. Indeed. Keepers are different outfielders. They start when fit. Yeah. Joe wants to know, Billy, have you been to the Spudman in Tamworth?
No. I try to keep away from Tamworth. It's a bit rural over there,
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a good reputation, though, the Spudman, Billy, all accounts. I see him a lot on TikTok. By the way, if you're on TikTok and you like scrolling through, the Toon Review does have a very, very good TikTok account, which Susan runs. I think we've got nearly 3,000, or we're on the way to 3,000 followers on there now. So it's grown very, very quickly. So if you are on TikTok and you like a bit of TikTok action, we're on there. Susan is currently working on some fantastic little... I don't know what to call them, to be honest. She's found this app which can put me and the rest of the hosts into like movie posters and things like that. So expect to see some fantastic stuff coming up. Certainly to introduce Billy's bedtime story on TTR Friday. There'll be a poster for that. I'm just trying to find a nice bit of music for that. So lots coming up. I don't think Doobs is that bad. As it has been described. With 3 games left, it may be that we do not see Pope at all. I'll be staggered if we don't.
He has been bad. Even like with the things we didn't give him kind of blame for, the Bournemouth slip, it cost us 2 points at the end of the day. Yeah. Them 2 points now, 3 goals against Forest, in the past 2 weeks, he let 2 through his legs. So, yeah. Look,
if you think he's been great, fine. I would suggest you go back and watch again. Just watch his positioning and watch when balls are played through the middle or over the top, how hesitant he is to come for the ball. Fubar says, is anyone else getting sick and tired of seeing photoshopped images of either Isak or Bruno in an Arsenal kit? It's blooming constant and daily on my Facebook feed. Bore off. Well, look, obviously it was revealed today who the man in the helmet was, Billy, and it was, of course, Isak. But we were expecting the man in the helmet to take the helmet. Yeah. And we expected, hopefully, a sort of contract announcement, but it wasn't anything like that. I still don't know what it was for, to be honest. It was a link up between Formula E and Saudi and Newcastle United. But I was really hoping for a new contract just so we can rub it in to the Arsenal fans.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if he's doing them kind of promotional shots or videos or whatever,
the face of Newcastle United kind of thing, yeah,
with the Newcastle United connection to it and Saudi connection to it, it'd be odd if he was leaving at the end of the season, wouldn't it? It just wouldn't happen, would it?
Yeah,
surely they'd choose someone that was definitely going to be stopping next season. Isak's going nowhere.
Absolutely.
I read earlier someone said it was Maxi.
No, it wasn't Maxi. It was Isak.
They did fight him, Maxi, but apparently he kept going in and out of the pits every 3 seconds.
He apparently got injured getting out the car. No, because it finished off with Isak sitting down in the Newcastle dressing room, and Anthony Gordon and I think it was Elliot Anderson said something to him as well. So it was really well put together. So I agree with you. I'm thinking if Isak's getting involved in that type of thing, and being the face of advertisements for sort of future plans, etc., then come on. I think he'd be here as well. Definitely 100%. Simon says, talking about the bench, and that's without Willock, Miley, Lascelles, and Botman. Yeah, we are getting very, very strong again, and at the right time, Billy.
Yeah, it's this time of the season. It's the crucial end of the season. This is where the big teams come into play, and I think hit the run of form now. It's fantastic, 100% fantastic. And yeah, if we can maintain his form now for the next 3 games, we'll be finishing 6th. And I'm still not certain if Spurs are going to get the points to get further away from us than they can. But they've got to play Burnley at home. Burnley are a better side away from them than they are at home. They're still fighting as well. Sheffield United's a given. But if they lose one of those games, we can catch them, I think. I think the potential is for that if we win all 3 of our games. I think we're 4 behind them at the minute. If we can get to a point behind them, pressure's really on them then. And we all know Spurs are soft-centered southern softies. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yes, Fubar, they have been out over the last few months and did all the digging up and putting the cables in. So it's just We are waiting now just for a go live date, and I'll be putting my order in straight away, 100%. So really looking forward to that, where I can actually stream and not have to worry about going blurry on YouTube with a stupid 38 megabit a second internet, which in 2024, quite frankly, it's a farce. God, I sounded posh there, didn't I? Quite frankly, it's a damn farce, Billy.
Farce?
Yes. Yeah.
Incidentally, I watched...
Go on.
Baby Reindeer yesterday.
Oh, God. You watched it all?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Shite.
Yeah. I mean, look, not very nice to the person it happened to. Absolutely not. But, I mean, listen, I found some of the scenes rather disturbing. But she's got an interview tonight with Piers Morgan, the real one, who did the stalking. So that should be an interesting watch. See what her excuses are for that.
Strange woman.
Oh, wow. I mean, to go on and do so well in Britain's Got Talent, Billy, and then to become a stalker like that, I think is just horrendous.
Outstanding. I mean, he deserved what he got though. He was absolutely awful as a comedian, weren't he? Good grief.
Oh dear. Well, you're the man for that, Billy. You're the man for that.
I mean, he made jokes about things that I would never joke about. But it's just shock value. He's crap, and that suit, good lord. But as for the beef curtains, good grief.
Yes, we'll slightly move on. Dave says, "My God, Paul, you sounded like Jacob Rees-Mogg." Oh, good God, my God! I mean,
electric cars weren't available in the 1840s.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas says, "Few signings in the summer. Tonali back. I think we'll finally get some silverware next season." Listen, I hope so, because damn it, we deserve some. Damn it, we do. It's been too long. This fan base, this club deserves some silverware. There is no doubt about it.
I think I'll fancy us for the FA Cup next season. Just for a change.
Well, Billy, you say that every year, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. But look, it is a possibility. I mean, we have to see how we're looking after the summer.
Well, I've just seen on Sky Sports that Newcastle United are currently talking to Dougie Friedman and some bloke called Johannes Spores.
Yes.
Global sporting director of, I think it's the 777 company that are trying to buy Everton.
Yeah, it is. They're down to the last two. No, I haven't. He's come from nowhere. There was I said it in the news show earlier on today that Dougie Friedman has come out and actually said that he's very keen on the Newcastle job. But I mean, who wouldn't? But the fact of, do you know what? The more I read about what Dougie Friedman's done, the more I'm happy for him to come in as director of football. And I'll tell you why, Billy, because of the players. He has a track record of looking down the leagues and buying players who are turning into superstars. Now, we said this about Dan Ashworth at Brighton, but apparently he didn't bring them all in. But Friedman has brought the likes of, Elise and etc. Some very, very, very good players. And it excites me because not only can we bring the big stars in, but we can bring the stars of the future in because we've got somebody who can identify that kind of player.
Do you know what I like about Friedman? And it's unique, really. It's the fact that he's experienced football as a player, a coach, a manager, and a director of football, technical director, sporting director, call it what you want. None of them have done that, to the same extent as what Dougie Friedman has. International football, when he played, okay, Maldini did, but I don't think Maldini ever managed a side, did he? Friedman managed Forest, he managed Palace. He kind of knows football from all angles, and I think that's an advantage for me.
I mean, Spurs did a brilliant job at Leipzig, and we know the kind of players that they attracted to that club. So I think the fact that these are sort of down to the final two, I wouldn't be opposed to either one, to be honest, because both have got fantastic track records. I just think Dougie Friedman, he knows the Premier League inside out. And I think to have a director of football who knows the league, he knows the lower leagues as well, I think is that could be a crucial. We've done a video on Dougie Friedman. I think you and Alex did it, didn't you?
Yeah. Last week, yeah.
So it is on the channel if you want to go back and watch that after the show. Right. Let's pick the side, Billy.
Yeah.
Because, for the first time in a long time, we have options. Now, this is the side that obviously you would pick and not Eddie Howe, because obviously, that's the way we do it. It's pointless trying to read Eddie Howe's mind, because that just never happens. So who would be your starting 11?
I mean,
and what formation would you go?
Well, I said at the beginning of the show that I wouldn't be averse from going with that 4-4-2 again, but now I think about it, with Joe Linton fitting back, I think that kind of helps us with a 4-3-3. I don't think he really fits into a 4-4-2 as such, unless you're going to play him wide, and we've got Gordon to do that. So I think I'd go Pope in goal, Livramento at right back, Kraft and Byrne as captain, Hall at left back, three of Longstaff, Bruno and Joe Linton, and then Gordon, Isak and Murphy as the top three.
That's exactly the same team I'd go for. And that would leave a quite astounding substitute bench for the first time in a long time. To have the likes of Wilson, Barnes, Miggy there, so many, Trippier possibly as well. I think it would be incredible to have a bench like that and a starting lineup like that as well. And if Joe Linton does come in, which I think he will, because I think similar to Nick Pope, I think, a big game at Old Trafford it's Wednesday, isn't it? Against Man United. So therefore, give Joe Linton a game. He doesn't have to play the full 90, but start him, and let him play an hour or something and then take him off. At least we'll have that option to do that. There's 5 substitutions. You can make major changes in the second half to give some of those a rest and prepare for the Man United game if things are going our way. And, I have to stipulate that if, because we know Newcastle, it never works out like that, which we'll see on Saturday, of course. So that is definitely my team as well. Get your score predictions into the chat, guys. Let's see what you were fancying for the game at the weekend against Brighton. Billy, what's yours?
I see us winning the game. I'll go with 3-1, Newcastle United. I think Isak for a couple. And I fancy maybe Elmore off the bench. Really?
Oh, well, yeah, you mentioned before about his record against Brighton is really good, isn't it? Anyone else?
No, 3-1. Isak 2. And
Isak 2. Right, okay. It's very difficult because I think we so deserved a clean sheet against Burnley, and I don't think anybody anticipated one last week. I think it'd be very difficult to keep Brighton out, but then again, you've got to factor in the fact that there's nothing really for them to push for, is there? Unless the manager really demands it, unless players are playing for contracts, etc., or the futures at the club. I don't know. It works out that way from time to time. I'm going 3-1 as well, Billy. I think it might be a case of us leading the game 3-0 and then they score later on in the second half. But I'd love to keep a clean sheet, especially if Nick Pope comes back. If Pope's back in goal, Billy, I could see a 3-0. I think we could keep a clean sheet if Nick Pope comes back, but it all depends on whether Eddie Howe decides to do that. Interestingly enough, we'll see what he says in his reaction tomorrow. So don't forget to remind yourselves, press conference reaction with myself in the morning. Around about 11:30, we go live and we'll discuss what Eddie Howe had to say in his press conference. We also have TTR Friday tomorrow night. Yes, it's only me and Billy, but we'll still have all the classics of TTR Friday, as well as, of course, bringing you guys on to have your say. Be nice to get some new guys as well. If you want to come on, you don't have to have a camera. If you've got a microphone, you can just come on with your microphone like a phone call and have a chat with us about Newcastle United. So great show tomorrow night. Great, best way to start your weekend, isn't it, Billy? On TTR Friday. So we'll go live at 7. But that's it for tonight. Lots of positivity in the chat with the score predictions, Billy. I don't think I've seen one comment saying we're going to lose. So that is fantastic. Considering last week was a bit dodgy. Someone actually, said we'd lose that game, didn't they, Billy? If I remember.
I mean, I got accused of being negative in the chat. if we kind of have gone with my results and then we got the results that I've predicted the past 2 years, we'd have been champions 2 years on the trot. So Negative, I don't think
Well,
so.
there's a change. Just being blamed at being negative. Jesus Christ. I think people don't have a clue between negativity and honesty and reality. I think that's the difference. But thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been great again tonight. Thank you for your super chats, etc. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Billy. But as usual, thank you to all of you for joining in. It's been a great show again. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. And we will see you in the morning if you can make it. And definitely for TTR tomorrow night at 7. But until then, enjoy the rest of the evening, folks. Good night.
Away the lads and laugheth.
Come back and check out some green.